I have an adopted son. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a green card holder. My wife is. I adopted him at that time. I wasn't married. Now my wife decided to file in for him since 2021. Since then, they requested for RFE, and we submitted that. The case has passed normal processing time. We called USCIS, and they kept saying, well, it is in normal processing time and that, and nothing has been done.
Let me ask you a few questions, Michael. Where are you from?
I'm from Liberia.
Okay. How old is this child when you adopted this child in Liberia?
6.
6 years old. And you have a legal adoption from Liberia?
Yes.
Okay. How old was the child when you immigrated to the United States?
8.
Did you live in the same home as this child ever in Liberia?
Yes. The child and I lived together from the time he was 1 month old.
Okay, so you lived with this child for like 7 or 8 years. You adopted the child when the child was 6. It's a legal adoption in Liberia. And you married your wife, who's a U.S. citizen. How old was the child when you married your wife?
9 years old.
All right. And how old is the child now?
He's 11.
Okay. So based on everything you told me, that child is a legal child of yours and qualifies as a child of yours because of adoption, because that adopted child is your child for immigration purposes, because you adopted the child before 16, you and that child lived in the same household for more than 2 years, and you had legal guardianship of that child for 2 years, which would be from the time of adoption moving forward. So if you have a child who is under the age of 18 and you marry a U.S. citizen, that U.S. citizen can file for your child as a stepchild. Now, assuming you provided all of this information and it's still pending all of these years, the only thing it could be pending is they're verifying the legality of your adoption, perhaps. They're reviewing some documentation, but they don't have a right to sit on this case for 3 years. This child's been waiting 3 years already. So what I would suggest we do is this. Let's do what's called the pre-litigation mandamus, where we threaten the government with a litigation in federal court if they don't approve this case in a reasonable amount of time. And a reasonable amount of time is not 2.5 years. So we literally give them weeks to do it. And usually that does the trick. But based on what you told me, that child qualifies for the green card. And that's how I would handle this at this point. Hold on one second.